So we're in the medical wing of the Center for Child Protection and in one of our actual exam rooms. And if you look around just everything like the center, it's child friendly with sea creatures, and then there's a space room and several different things to make children more comfortable when they're in this room for an exam. We do 3 types of exams here at the center, and the most common one is what we call a non-acute sexual assault exam. And the difference between an acute and a non-acute is really when the last incident of abuse happened. Typically, if it's over 96 hours ago, those kiddos are going to come here, and those are the predominant cases that we see here at the center. There's a thought that children outcry immediately after abuse, and that's very rarely the case. In fact, because of who the perpetrator is and because of threats and because of fear, all different kinds of things, most children delay reporting. And so the majority of kids that make sexual abuse outcries typically come to the center for that exam. Now, if it is acute and it has happened within the last 96 hours, those children go to Dell Children's Medical Center for what we call an acute or an emergent exam. I think the biggest thing about a sexual abuse exam is that in this day and age where TV programs talk a lot about crime scene and evidence and that sort of thing, we tend to think that there is always going to be evidence, that there's always going to be some indication of sexual assault. And many times that is not the case for a variety of reasons, including the way our bodies work and the way they heal. But I think it's important to know that those exams are important even when we don't have physical evidence, because it's really important for children and their parents to know that they don't have injuries that are going to be recognizable later on, that they're just like any other kid, and that goes a long way to healing and creating comfort and support for a family. Another important reason that we do these exams is because you've got the medical expert that can then come in and explain if there is evidence, what that's about, and if there isn't evidence, why that is. And so once they've done that exam, they're able to do that. Another type of exam that we do here at the center is what we call a physical abuse assessment. We call them child abuse rule-outs, but it's anytime there's an injury that a caseworker or a detective, not being a medical professional, wants more information about. So those kiddos get seen here so that a true medical professional who specializes in child abuse, and our pediatricians that work here at the center through collaboration with the Dell Children's Medical Center are actually experts in child abuse. Just like there's pediatric neurology and pediatric oncology, there's pediatric child abuse, and that's their specialization. So they've really spent the majority of their time focusing on child abuse neglect cases. So they look at any type of physical injury, burns, broken bones, that sort of thing, just to see if the injury itself matches up with the account given about what happened to the child. Something else that we do here is photograph injuries. We have a specialized camera that takes pictures almost down to the cellular level so that we can see bruises that have almost faded. That the software that goes with these pictures also allows you to reverse image, light to dark, dark to light, to be able to look at what an injury might look like in a shadow so that you can look for patterns, which is something very common in child abuse, to look for what it was that might have caused that injury to a child. And we have that camera here, and it's available for the medical professionals to take those pictures and then be able to provide them as a part of court testimony. And the last type of case that we see here is called failure to thrive. These are typically kiddos that are under the age of 1, very young and severely underweight. And once it's been ruled out that that lack of nourishment or that underweight condition is not related to an illness that's going on in their body, then you have to start looking at their feeding routines. And sometimes you've got a mom that's depressed. Sometimes you have a mom who's trying to stretch the formula just a little bit further and watering that down such that they're not getting the adequate nutrition. And those kids are seen initially in the hospital for those tests, but then they are coming to this environment, which is child-friendly, much more calm than an emergency room. To just get a secondary assessment. Sometimes those kids are weighed every other day just to make sure that they're still gaining weight because when they're little, they're very fragile. And so losing weight over a period of time can be really dangerous. Some things to know about the room. It is, again, child-friendly. We have different rooms with different themes. And I think that it's important to know that it's comforting in this room. It also is important to know that that children that come in here aren't just focused on whatever that injury is, whether it's sexual abuse, whether it's physical abuse. It's a regular exam. So they're going to do height, they're going to do weight, check their ears, check their eyes, just like they would in any other pediatrician's office. The layout of these rooms with the different designs was done by an organization called SUITEP, SUITEP, because they work in hospitals and children's shelters to try to make those rooms more comfortable and more friendly, and came in and actually did all of our exam rooms for our kiddos.